unrivaled Luchasaurus, which this figure, let me tell you, is the bane of my existence.
Welcome everyone to Talking Feds. My name is Nathan, Nate Dog, but most know me as WSC Stage Creator, and I'm joined here by...
Oh, yeah, Nathan, Nate Dog, I like that. Okay, and I am, of course, the great one and only Danny Meltzer, commentator for both WSC and GCW, and here's my broadcasting partner.
Yeah, it's Luke from GCW, everybody.
And welcome to Talking Feds. What are we going to talk about today, Nate?
Well, let's tell everybody why we started this podcast. We just wanted to tell our experiences and have fun with it a little bit.
Oh, yeah, definitely. There's a lot of experiences to be had with something like this, creating figure content. And you know what? It's not easy, no matter what people think. This stuff isn't just playing with toys, even though, like, to any outsider, that's basically what it is. But there's more to it. There's more of an art form to it. You know what I'm saying, Luke?
Definitely. And I think we all kind of do different styles. I started off as like the video music pick fed guy and now transitioned more into the commentary. I put also some video clips in it now. And you are more the traditional pick fed guy now between the three of us, I would say.
Oh, yeah. I started my stuff because I was really inspired by names like Harrison, W3A, and I even seen some of your old stuff, and I thought it was really cool. But I started mine as a music video fed type deal, mainly because it was just easier to edit, and also I really like these highlight videos. You go on YouTube and you search up like a match, right? You want to see it, but it's not the full match, but you can at least get highlights. And if those are like really well edited, it's so awesome. So I thought of doing that. At first I was doing highlights on my stuff, but because I wasn't really too confident in getting full matches out there. And then I started to get into the groove of things. So my Fed, FAW has gone through a lot of transitions, but now I think it's comfortable with something along the lines of GCW, where it's a pick fed with commentary, but I don't use video clips for my stuff.
So we all do different styles.
I actually agree with you there on the highlight stuff. I always love to watch that on YouTube, and that's how I kind of got started, because back in the day, like when Mattel products first started coming out, I was always looking for someone that might make matches with them, and I would always search for that. And I think Harrison, EWF, was really the first one to do it. And back
Did you guys
in the day,
WAF back in the day? WAFF?
Yes, I definitely watched his stuff. Yeah.
That was like my first experience with it.
I probably have seen him afterwards, because I was like really getting into the figure stuff with Mattel coming out. And, then I found Harrison. And back in the day, his shows were like probably 10, 20 minutes. And, this would kind of go like that highlight version of a WWE pay-per-view would see on YouTube. And that's where I think the music pick feds work very well. Now, if you get longer, like making hour shows, an hour-long show, I would personally prefer to have commentary on it. Yeah,
sure. So for me, I kind of innovated a style that was like what I call vid-fed, which it's basically pick-fed, but it's video clips all made together. And the advantage of that is basically you have like real-time impacts, and like it helps for the entrances. You see like, the lights flashing, you get like, we got the screen, the Titantron, see all the graphics moving and everything. And then in the matches, it helps, like, because in my opinion, I think it's better when, like, when you have a big spot, somebody falls through a table or jumps off the top rope. If they actually do it, I think it works a lot better than like the slower pick fed kind of thing. So that's personally what I do. I used to do like hand fed. I do have experience in pick fed too. And yeah, I just enjoy what I do right now, and it's pretty unique.
Yeah, definitely. And
so we all do different styles, so we all have different perspectives, so you're going to get the best of both worlds from all of us.
Oh yeah, especially with like the more traditional sense. Like I've been around the music fed community and also the Instagram fed community, and that's pretty
Yeah.
huge. Despite like what people may think, like there's a fan base for a lot of Instagram feds.
There's
Um,
also a TikTok scene, which is
I,
pretty awesome.
I don't want
That's coming
to.
up.
I don't even want to think about that, but
I think
like
people should look into it.
I'm not personally a big fan of TikTok.
Yeah, neither, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's stuff everywhere, so that's why I brought up the idea of doing a podcast like this, so we can reach out to every single branch of the figure community, the vid feds, the pic feds, the pic feds slash vid feds, and the Instagram feds.
Yeah, for
we're
sure.
trying to bring everybody together with this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
despite the fact that sometimes things will happen. Drama would rear its ugly head sometimes, but you know what? We got to look
Yeah.
past that and just say that, like, yeah, man, we just all love figures, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, but that doesn't mean that this stuff is easy. There's definitely hardships, wouldn't you say, Nathan?
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of hardship in this, and that's what we're going to get into today. And I want to talk about some of the struggles of filming. Now, this is definitely not easy, and there's a lot of struggles that we all go through. And since we all do different styles, we have like different perspectives on the difficulties that we go through. So, Luke, tell us some of the difficulties that you go through, just like filming stuff. Just from like actual filming perspective. What are some of the complications and struggles you go through?
So what took me quite a long time, to be honest, is to get the lighting right. That's a pretty
it's
tough
a big
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, like, I kind of want to add, before the whole filming starts, you got to get yourself out of your chair or wherever you are and got to start filming. And that is a really
That's
hard
the hardest
part.
part. Starting is always the hardest part, I find.
Oh, definitely, because
the motivation you need to have for it is like, it's big. Like starting is always the hardest part, and since I'm doing it like every week, and I know you guys too are doing it pretty often, and yeah, it's tough sometimes.
Oh, definitely,
it's definitely worth it.
And sometimes motivation is very hard to come by. And there's been a point in my life, like I was filming these big shows, 3-hour show, Winter Slam. That was a nightmare to film because me personally, I'm not a guy who can improv this stuff. I have to write it down. I have to study movesets depending on which guy I'm having fighting which other guy. And so that's really tough on me because most of the time I don't really watch a lot of indie stuff, surprisingly enough. But this process of me writing things down and me trying to figure out what would make a good match is tough because PickFed has been around for a long time. It's not necessarily the longest, but people have done matches between one or another dude lots of times, especially Kenny Omega. People use Kenny Omega all the time.
Yeah, that's the running joke.
Yeah. And so you can only watch a dude get hit with a knee so many times before it becomes boring. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's why it's kind of tough to figure out what to do with certain wrestlers because you don't know if people are going to watch and be like, oh, I saw this, it's the same old crap, So, things like that is very tough for me when I write things down. That's my main issue. Yeah. That's why things take so long because I'm not very big on improving anything.
Yeah. What about posing? Like, I know a lot of difficulties can come up with posing and whatever. So what kind of experiences do you guys have?
So for me, like, it took a really long time because I've been putting out shows since 2012. So
yeah,
this is like 9 years now. And of course it gets easier, the longer you're in it, and obviously you improve, but it took me a really, really long time
I feel like it gets
good
harder
at posing.
You do.
Honestly, because you get better and better the more detailed you want to make it. It makes it harder and longer to put stuff together.
Oh,
Well, at
Right,
least for
very,
me,
especially.
I'm a perfectionist with it all. So it's like you kind of focus on the details and you're like, oh, is this good enough? Like, do I have to retake it? You know, maybe that's just me, but tell me your experiences.
No, especially when I made the transition from the just music in the background to commentary, things needed to
Mm,
change a lot because
yeah.
now things started looking way too slow, you know, with the sound effects and the commentary just didn't match up. So
Yeah,
now,
for sure.
actually, where you said it's getting harder, yeah, I probably take more pictures per move now and
Yeah.
have a shorter uh, pictures per second or however you call that. So
Yeah.
yeah, it definitely gets harder the more you want to improve your stuff. That's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah. And I see a lot of youngins. I see a lot of young people trying to do the stuff that we do, and it's very flattering. And it's very flattering when people ask me for advice on what they can fix. Because, as some people may know, I was, my name Danny Meltzer. It ain't for nothing,
Mm-hmm.
because at some point I would regularly look at people's feds and rate them based on posing, lighting, match quality, camera quality. All these things have to go into this stuff. You can't just um, film vertically with flash and expect people to be like, yeah, this is so cool.
Yeah.
There's a definite technique to it. And what I find that helps is, if you're listening to this right now and you're having trouble posing, don't feel bad, because even these guys had trouble posing,
Yeah. It's going to take
even,
time.
yeah, definitely. But what really helps, I find, is watching veterans at work, like what's that, WWFE, or no, TNHW. That's one of the big guys who was
Mm.
basically the one of the kings, one of the big dogs of the music fed scene. That guy's
Mm.
posing is great. Now, for me, I think the best poser out of any pick feder is Harrison. Like, I'll always praise that guy. I always bow down to the king. That's my hero. That's my big inspiration. But even their stuff wasn't that good back then. So just take that into consideration and watch their shows and really look at how they pose things, and
Yeah.
like pause it, try to recreate that, and interpret that into your matches. And another big way to improve posing is to watch wrestling in
Yeah.
slow motion, watch these
Slow it
guys.
down. Yeah.
Yeah, and all that stuff. Even pause it if you have to, you
That's
know
probably the most realistic way to do it as well. Especially if you
exactly.
want to be different. Like it's good to watch other pick fetters too, but actually watching it can like you can get like a totally different perspective just like watching it and slowing it down and just like taking screenshots of how you would pick fed it for like every movement. So
Oh
I would
yeah.
suggest that.
Oh yeah. And so, like, the more you do that, the better you'll be, and the more confidence you'll have. Because I
Yeah.
remember when I first started out, my posing was all like, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't all that great. It wasn't anything compared to now. And I had like zero confidence in my fed. And my friends would tell me, oh man, like, I don't see anything going on here, until like I really started to hone in everything. I really try to come up with great matches and try to pose everything as neatly and as nicely as I could. And everything just kind of piled up. It was like a snowball effect. The rise of FAW, as I got more confidence into the craft, I
Mm.
just got better and better and better just by watching
Yeah.
wrestling, by watching other pick fedders, by being inspired. That's the biggest thing in this niche,
Yeah.
inspiration. People need to build each other up. We can't just, push each other down, which I am guilty of. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
When
for
I was first
sure.
starting as Danny Meltzer, people hated me. But nowadays,
Your first message to me was a criticism, but it's right. It's all
was
good.
it?
The Riddle and Brock Lesnar
Oh
situation.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I kind of still don't get that, but we'll talk about that another
Yeah, I
day.
get you.
We'll talk about that. But yeah, Luke, is any comments on all that?
Mm,
I think we really touched on everything. Like for me, it was always like the way to improve is like I would watch my own stuff and then I would see stuff that's just nagging me, and then I would try to improve that
Oh
on the next
yeah,
video.
yeah,
And
that's a
then,
big
and
one. That's a
yeah,
big
and
motivator.
Yeah.
because sometimes you watch some of your stuff and this would have been so much better if I would have done it this way. And then next time you'll fix that and you find the next problem in the next video. So
Yeah.
this is
That's
how
a
it
sign you
usually goes for
improved.
me.
So that's good.
Yeah, yeah, it makes me feel like redoing some matches from my old days just to do like a remastered version because of how
Yeah, I
things
feel
turned
that
out
too.
to be.
But I had this very particular scenario. I'm filming Seth Rollins versus Edge for SummerSlam right now, and the Edge figure is a lot like kind of taller than Seth Rollins, and you're trying to do spots when one is like taller than the other. It's kind of difficult. Have you guys had any of those scenarios where you're working with figures that are like different dimensions? That's like difficult.
Um, I wouldn't say like the height difference. The height difference didn't really make any difference to me.
Mm,
What did though was the figures companies themselves. You know, like Mattel, you had Mattel and you had Jackson. Now you got Jazzwares. Okay. Now
yeah.
my first Pentagon figure, when the first match between G-Man and Pentagon, you know, shameless plug there. G-Man and Pentagon, Hot Pursuit, one of my first ever pick fed videos. It was a highlight show. It was terrible. And one of the big reasons why it was terrible was because the Pentagon that I used was a custom made from a Jack's body. This thing looked great. It's a good like display piece. But oh my God, if you tried to film with that, you'd probably have aneurysms day and night because
Mm,
the arm was super loose. It looked all blocky. You know, like let's be real here. Jack's figures, they weren't good for realism. They were really cartoony. They were really cartoony
yeah, for sure.
proportions and stuff like that. They were fun to play with as a kid, no doubt. I
Yeah,
think they were more fun than Mattel and Jazzwares today
yeah,
to play with. And
definitely.
so but to pick fed with to make it look realistic, it wasn't happening.
Yeah,
And
no way.
so I didn't really care about that at the time, so I just did the match and stuff. But the legs were like super stiff, the arms were super loose, the head kept popping off, the waist couldn't even swivel. There was no turn in the waist. So
Jeez.
so it's like, for me, it's not necessarily like the height of the figures. It's the quality of each figure,
Yeah,
because
definitely.
you can have like a Mattel Elite Edge, and it could be like the most smooth, the most pleasant figure you ever worked with. But then
Mm.
then you play with a Jazzwares AEW Unrivaled Luchasaurus, which this figure, let me tell you, is the pain
Yeah.
of my existence. Okay,
Mm.
because Jazzwares, they make their figures really cheap. Honestly,
Yeah.
like I can even nowadays, I just got the new Pentagon Series 6 of AEW. I take that thing out, it's already loose. It's
Yeah. Same
already
with mine.
loose.
Same with
The
mine.
the joints are so flimsy, like the knees
Yeah.
and the elbows. Yeah, no good.
So yeah, like,
Especially if you use them for like a match, like after that, they're pretty much, you can't use them anymore.
oh yeah, my
Yeah.
Series 1 Kenny Omega, that thing is kaput. That thing is dead.
And the
Okay.
John Moxley legs, like they're so
Oh,
long and just like go all over the place.
yeah.
Man,
Yeah,
and
this is
Yeah.
why I got a custom done for Moxley,
Yeah,
because
I
I
probably
just couldn't
should
film
too.
with that thing.
yeah, sometimes
Yeah.
it's just better to do that. You know,
And
sometimes it's
also,
just
if you
better.
do, for example, like this is a very specific one, if you want to go for like the Death Rider paradigm shift, like his arms can't even hold up the other person's arms. They will all
Yeah.
fall down for me immediately. Do you
Well,
have the same problem? Like the arms,
me?
they are
Yeah, I think so.
not stiff enough, or how would you want to call it? Like they will
Yeah.
just, yeah.
What's a bigger problem? Loose arms or loose knees? Because loose knees are freaking hell. And
Yeah,
sometimes they're
legs.
the worst to deal with.
Yeah.
You know,
Because you're trying to hold up the figure and then it just like falls over because his knee's so loose, it just falls back. It's
honestly, they're
just
kind
super
of one and
annoying.
the same to me. You know, loose anything just
Yeah.
ruins the emerge. And like it's a domino effect. If you film with a figure that's really loose and really just not ethical, just not able to hold up a figure, it kills your motivation to try and make this matchup. You
For
know,
sure.
I've had moments where I just really did not want to film a match. Like, here's a big example. I had this custom made Marty Skrull, and his head just kept falling off during his Pete Dunne match at Winter Slam. And I was just like, I really don't want to film this match. I want to skip it. 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 But I couldn't. So I had to persevere. But I'll tell you, it was one of the worst experiences I had filming a matchup. You know,
Yeah, I
having
have that with
things
my
fall
Roman
off.
Reigns right now. Like
Which
the
one?
Elite Roman Reigns has an interchangeable head and it just keeps falling off.
Oh, God.
Especially when you're doing vid-fed stuff and you're trying to do that. Like I literally got clips like trying to do an announce table spot and his head just keeps popping off because it's so like loose.
You should keep
It's
that
just
in a
annoying.
video. You should keep that in a video. Like, oh, he
Yeah,
died.
we could
By
plug
the,
that in.
yeah, by the way, what is the story? I remember watching you doing a Hell in a Cell match between, I think, The Fiend and Seth Rollins. Was it like that the head
Yeah. Oh
kept
my
falling
God.
off? And you just said, screw it, I'll make it part of the match.
Yeah.
I would have said the same thing. I would have said the same thing, man.
It was such a wild situation where it was just like, that was just too awesome not to leave in the video, especially with the Fiend, and he just healed himself with the heel hand. So he just had to leave that in.
There's no way that would happen in real life unless it was like a
but that's the
Thunderdome
fun of
era
action
match.
Figures. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can do anything you want. You know, for me, it's within reason. But you know, something like that,
especially with a supernatural character like the Fiend. So I just let it slide a little bit.
Yeah,
it was fun.
Like I'm not going to sit here on my high horse saying like, oh, it's unrealistic and PigFed and VidFed should be realistic. Like no, it's not that, because I literally had the Fiend do the Exorcist at my Winter Slam show against Johnny Gargano, so I can't really say anything. I've done plenty of supernatural stuff too that seemed a bit outlandish, but you know, I look at wrestling more as a story than a sport. If you get my drift.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about editing, because I know editing can be a big process, especially for us since we do commentary. Sound effects are really important, and adding commentary and everything to try and make the whole thing entertaining, you kind of need good sound effects for it. So tell us how long it takes you guys to edit and the process that you go through. So let's start with you, Luke.
So, okay, so I started off at first with that generic sound effects video someone uploaded on YouTube. I feel like I've heard it like in everybody's PigFed. So, and then, you know, after a while, just like I said before, there are things that like nag you. You're like, oh, this doesn't sound right. So you find yourself some new ones. And for me, it was just going through a lot of wrestling and finding like little spots where there's no commentary and you can cut a little sound effect out of, this is like probably, if you want to do a fed like this with commentary and sound effects, you should probably just plan in to invest like 3 days or whatever to go through a ton of wrestling and just find some good sound effects.
For sure. Yeah, you don't want Cody Rhodes sound effects for everybody, you know?
Oh,
like everyone's using that Cody Rhodes sound effect from YouTube. Yeah. I think go out and like if for the wrestlers that you're using, you should try and get their sound effects. Like maybe I'm a little too detailed with that, but like I got like sound effects for like pretty much everybody. Like if I'm doing a match, I just search up, just go through matches, try to search up sound effects for them.
Yeah, see, me as a person, I do not have the patience for editing at all. I will complain about this to Luke and Nathan all day. Editing is worse than filming. Much worse, because there are times when I would edit, I would be like, man, can I just put music? Can I just really just put music right now?
Man, because I feel that too.
But you know, if you really wanted to make an impact, and Lucas has definitely proven this to me, you got to do commentary, you got to do sound effects, because you know that's just more inclined to have people watch your stuff over and over. But me, like, it's funny how you say like, oh, you got to go through more stuff than just the what's it called, that video that just lists
on
a
YouTube,
bunch of, that just lists a bunch of noises. See, me, I'm a big Lucha Underground guy, and the best sound that you could possibly do for a chop, for a kick, for a super kick, anything, is when Lucha Underground guys, they be kicking each other and it sounds like a gunshot.
Away here, sent in. Phoenix follows in.
And it's that really makes things pop for me. So for me, when it comes to like a slap sound, like let's say like a big super kick, right? Like I've used it plenty of times in my G-Man and Pentagon video. There was this one sound and it came straight from Lucha Underground, and so that wasn't from the video that just listed a bunch of sounds and stuff. Yeah, I use sounds from that video, but you know, you gotta sound different than the others. So
yeah, I think that's a good place. Yeah. You start somewhere, you know. I started with that too. Yeah. But if you want to evolve your stuff, you definitely gotta just keep trying to find new things.
Yeah, I think you should start off with that, because otherwise, if you start at first, it's going to be too overwhelming to get everything right at the first match you upload or whatever. It's just a progression. Yeah.
And it's definitely, it's funny how you say progression, because like when I was doing Birthday Bash, my first ever match that I ever did with commentary, with sound effects and everything, was the Nacho and Esqueleto match versus Mustache Mountain. I still love that match. I love that Nacho figure. Everything about it, everything about that match was just so great to me. But the one thing, like at the time when I did it, it sounded great, you know. And I even showed Luke the first draft of that match, and he thought it was great. And then I started to add more sound effects to the next matches, and more, making things louder and more exciting and stuff like that. And to the point where I looked back at the Nacho and the Mustache Mountain match, it sounded dead. It sounded really lame. So it's like, yeah, you really got to hone in on the crowd reactions, on the sounds and everything to really make it sound like it's real, you know?
Yeah.
And me, I take pride in my commentary. I feel like I can make anything sound good, but you know, there's nothing without the crowd. You know, wrestling.
Yeah, it complements each other.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when like I remember watching things back, Mil Muertes versus Edge, when Edge like hit the execution through those two tables. I had the crowd go crazy, and thus people went crazy. So it really has to build off of each other. It's like a stacked sandwich. You have to make sure everything is there, everything is nicely proportioned, and everything for it to be delicious. And I think Birthday Bash came out really delicious because I had to go back and do the Nacho and Esqueleto match over with more sounds and more reactions and stuff like that. So it's really just a case of just stacking up your sandwich, boy. You know?
Yeah. For me, with the editing, yeah, sometimes it could be really difficult. Back in the day, like I got an editor now because it's taken it's taken a lot of time for me to edit, and sometimes it gets like, as Danny said, it's just like you don't want to edit sometimes. So, but when I was editing, and I still do like a bit of editing, like what I do is I film my stuff and then I edit it like right away. So I have like the video clips, but the sound, like I get someone else to edit now. But when I was doing the sound and everything, man, it would take me like all day, all night. I remember Royal Rumbles, both Royal Rumbles that I recently did was like 24-hour days of like filming and editing. And yeah, it just takes a toll on you, especially when you're trying to meet deadlines too. So yeah, definitely. Editing is it's a big thing, but yeah, it's worth it when it comes out.
Yeah, you know, sometimes really, the deadlines are a real like double-edged sword. You know, it could be a great motivation and it can be a great stressful experience trying to do everything in a certain time span. You know? And I know Lucas loves to talk about like how the YouTube algorithm works against this kind of content on a daily basis. You know.
Yeah. That's why like I started the pay-per-views in parts, because I can't film a whole pay-per-view and upload it. Like it will take like probably a month or two. And then I would still need other content in between. It's just way easier to do it in parts, and then people who don't want to see it in parts, they can just watch, you know, the full show version when everything is done. But I think that the algorithm really, if you like don't upload it for, let's say, a month, you're going to be down significantly.
Yeah. Danny, when you do your full shows, do you edit at the end of all your filming, or do you like edit as you go? Because I feel like leaving it all to the end would be really bad. It would be a really bad idea.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
G-Man versus Pentagon, the 3 Stages of Hell match, was by far the most exhausting experience I ever had editing something.
Because you probably didn't have like a bank of sound effects already to go. Like I think you just started doing a commentary and sound effects then.
Yeah, it
That would have
developed
been a big
over
process.
time. The library developed over time, and I just used everything from that video that it just lists a bunch of sound effects. But after that G-Man and Pentagon match, I did my absolute best to make that crazy, and I think I did a pretty good job. I actually edited that after I did some matches for Birthday Bash. So,
really?
So I had my first experience editing something was the Nacho and Esqueleto match, but as things went on, I found out it's like, bro, I gotta edit this stuff by match. I can't do it as soon as like the whole show is filmed and ready to go. Oh, hell no, I can't do that. So I usually do it as the match develops. Sometimes I'll wait till the end of the match, like if I finished filming, and most of the time I do it as I'm filming. I use an app, and it's free to use. It's called Video Guru. It's on my phone. I film with my phone. That might change soon, but
I film with my phone too.
Yeah, so like
I use iMovie though.
Yeah, like with Video Guru, it was really easy to use depending on how long the clip is. Usually my clips that I do for pick-fed matches are like a minute to 3 minutes long at the longest. And then I upload it on Unlisted, and then I download it onto my computer, and then I edit it. It's kind of like a good break, actually. It kind of serves as a break from filming sometimes. So when I'm tired of filming this matchup, I say, okay, that's good for now. Let me upload it, and then I'll go and edit it. And I'll do that. I'll have it saved on my computer for later when I start to add things to it. And it's kind of just a process that's slow and steady, but it's for sure, because you don't have to worry about, oh man, if I make a match like 17 minutes, I got to go back and edit everything. No, you just do it as you go along. That's kind of my philosophy on how to do it.
Yeah, I used to leave it all to the end pretty much. Yeah. But now, now I got someone to do it like as I go. It should be a much better way of doing things. But Luke, how long does it take you to edit? Like you film a video, how long does it take you to edit and get that done?
So let's say like an average, like let's say 12-minute match. I would.
Do you leave it to the end too?
Really depends. Like most of the time, how I usually do it is I start filming, then wait for my camera battery to die, then I put everything on my MacBook, and then I start editing the part that I've already filmed, and then the next day or later that day, I will go back and film again and continue. But sometimes I just leave it all to the end. I don't really have a set process. But the thing is here that I wanted to touch on is the editing software that you use. This is like crucial if you want to get stuff out faster, because back in the day, I used my Windows laptop, and editing on that took forever. But now this is really the best thing I've found. MacBook, iMovie. I mean, a 12-minute match probably takes me an hour to put all the sound effects in.
An hour?
Yeah.
Really? Jeez.
Yeah, that's why I'm yeah, because I think you're doing it on your phone. That's why I was so surprised that you're doing it on your phone.
Why is it pretty quick on the computer?
Yeah, it's.
Oh, one thing that definitely like I use Movie Maker on my computer to do things, to put the sound effects in. One thing that's definitely helpful is you can go frame by frame, so you can time these sound effects perfectly. if you know, by using that. I can't do that with my Video Guru stuff. The only thing I can do with Video Guru is just determine how many seconds per frame, how many seconds per picture there are. And, you know, it's very helpful doing that on my phone. The reason why I do filming on my phone, and then I compile like the clips together, like the timing of all the moves and stuff on my phone, is because for some reason, I can't connect my phone to my computer, so I have all the pictures in there, so I could do it in Movie Maker. So I don't know what it is. It's my computer problem. That's my issue. But like, if you ask me, I have no experience on like putting. Well, actually, I do. There was a time when I was able to put all the pictures I took on my phone on my computer, and I used the software that was built into the computer for just you know, picture slideshows and stuff like that. Now, at first, it was okay, but then it was really tedious. It was really tedious because the software wasn't built for doing things like this. So therefore, it would crash a lot. This is the software that I used to edit the G-Man and Pentagon match. Now, this software freaking sucks because you can't have anything be louder, like any sound effect be louder than it already is. With Movie Maker and stuff like that, you can click on that and you can raise the volume of that thing, how loud you want it to be, you know. So thus I would have to stack the same sound effect and the same point.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just put like spamming the slap sound, spam, just so we could just so you can hear it over the crowd. You know, and it was terrible. It was the reason why this software would crash a lot, because I put so many files into the video. So yeah, guys, freaking get Movie Maker, get iMovie, get whatever you can on your computer, because this stuff will definitely save your life when you're editing this stuff with sound effects and such.
One question I have for Luke: you film with a camera. How do you take the photos, but also actually have the photos like link up with the other photos and make sure the angles are okay? For me, I put it into my my editing app on my phone, and I can see whether or not like the angles match up. And if they don't, I just retake the thing. But for someone with a camera, I feel like it'd be way more difficult.
I really have no process on that. I just do it.
That's
feel like
something you're focusing on.
Yeah, I'm never focused on that at all. Like,
okay,
maybe it comes naturally. I don't know. This is just something that I've never really thought about. Yeah.
Because I think getting camera angles right is pretty important, especially because you don't want like tipsy-turvy kind of camera angles where it's like all over the place, and then you're one place and then you're another place. You know,
right?
You want that pretty smooth. So I feel like someone with a camera would be more difficult. And that's why I've never really wanted to get a camera.
Yeah, if something looks really weird, like, you know, I always film like a sequence, and then I can just like look at the photos I've taken and, you know, click forward and see how it looks. And if it looks all right, I'll just keep it.
So what are you guys currently working on right now? What are your upcoming projects?
Okay, so I'll go first. So yeah, I'm going to be working on the first GCW Extreme, since that's going to be back. And yeah, then I'm going to be putting out another GCW Live, and then we're going to get into that Money in the Bank show with, you know, your first match in GCW.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're gonna kick the ass of Dolph Ziggler and Baron Corbin with good old MVP MDT.
I will indeed. Hopefully, let's make that happen.
Oh, definitely.
Let's kick some ass. I'm back in the game, baby.
Oh yeah,
let's go.
Yeah,
be there live, people. You're not gonna want to miss this show. This show's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, I really started liking the song. At first, I was like, oh, wouldn't it be
back
better
in the game?
if you kick? Yeah. If you came to your you know, your usual theme song, but, you know, after listening to it so many times in editing, I just started liking it.
You've never seen Cobra Kai, have you? Have any of you guys seen Cobra Kai?
No.
No.
It's a
Luke
great
doesn't
show. It's
watch.
on Netflix.
Luke doesn't
Luke, I
watch
don't
anything.
expect Luke to go watch it because he doesn't watch anything. But
Yeah.
Danny, you should definitely check it out. That's where the song is basically inspired from. But if you listen to the lyrics, it makes sense. Like the return, after the whole Kevin Owens bashing my knee, came back from injury, and now I'm back in the game. I'm in a different place. I'm here to kick some ass.
Yeah,
we're about to get it on. Let's go.
Yeah, definitely. As for me, what I'm working on is it's kind of tough to say because it would involve spoiling things. But what I'm going to say is, we have all this lined up. We have the Money in the Bank. We have whatever Nathan's working on his channel. But guys, don't sleep on SWE Bloodsport. G-Man will be making an appearance there, and you don't know what's going to happen. LAX stopped his birthday bash celebration, and that was terrible. But G-Man's going to get to the bottom of this stuff. So you're gonna want to see what happens at that show. SWE. His YouTube is Mike SWE, MIKE SWE, and boom, just wait there for more updates. Follow him on Instagram, and you're gonna see what happens at that show. And who knows what might happen? Anything can happen. And if you're as invested in the G-Man story as I am, as most other people are, this is going to be a must-watch for you guys, definitely. But as for what I'm doing, I'm mainly just editing past matches into the commentary scene, and I'm going to give you guys a sneak preview of what I'm doing. It's a Mil Muertes match, and the one that he had with Roman Reigns at WinterSlam. And it's going to have commentary. It's going to be a huge blowout, so get ready for that.
So we covered a lot of good topics in this video. Do you guys have anything else you want to cover today?
What about setups?
Oh yeah, that's something I wanted to talk about. Setups. So you guys sit on the floor, and I used to do that for a long time. And for me, when I was sitting on the floor, I used to have to lock myself in the arena with the extreme sets pop up because I didn't like my whole room setup was kind of weird. So I had to do that. And then I was sandwiched between the ring and the wall, and I had to sit cross my legs and then 2 lights on my face. So it was definitely a struggle for me, especially doing this full time. So now I've got a table setup, which is definitely a lot better. You can get up, move around, and it's just more kind of professional setup. You get to do a lot more with the arena. What is your situation with the arena setups, and how do you feel about your working situations?
Oh, okay. So, I've been on the floor since a while now, and
you're on a wooden floor, aren't you?
Yeah.
So that's definitely got to be a lot harder too.
I feel like now having now doing it for so long, it's not that much of an issue anymore to me. Like the thing that is always the biggest issue for me is all the cables that run everywhere, and then you sit on it and then you pull out a lamp or whatever. But I've been working on improving that. So I have I bought extension cords for so I basically have all the wire situation settled now. So now I really don't think it's too bad. Obviously, if you put it on the floor, you have the opportunity to have a way bigger setup, unless you just can find a gigantic table. And I'm pretty much in our living room. This is where it's set up, and it's not a big issue anymore to me to film on the floor.
Okay. It's funny how you say hardwood floor, because I filmed with that a lot too. Actually, I still do to this day, and it's probably not going to change anytime soon. So, and also it's funny how Luke said at this point he's kind of gotten used to it. I'm getting there, but it's not as bad as it was before. My setup, how it was, I had 2 bunk beds in that room, in my filming room, and I had to be sandwiched between that and the arena. I couldn't stretch my legs. I had to crisscross applesauce, and my legs would fall asleep every time. And I had to get up, and I had to take a break. I had to take a breather just for the sake of being comfortable, because you don't want to do this stuff when you're uncomfortable. You don't want to hurt yourself filming. You know, what
Yeah.
kind of crap is that? You know, that's not for me. So recently, I had to take down that bunk bed to make more space, and yeah, and all that. But one particular thing that always bugged me, and I relate to the whole tripping on a cord and then having things fall, because the way my stuff's set up, I have these poster boards and stuff. Those things aren't very sturdy. Okay, and the wires that I use for like the lights and stuff, the LED strips on these poster boards for my arenas, they're all over the place. And I try to keep them clean. I try to get them organized, but sometimes when I misstep, the poster boards would just go flying. And after that, the audience members start falling like freaking
I had that, the
dominoes.
audience members.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like at that point, I want a quick pick fetting, because you know I'm spending more time setting up the damn audience members than actually getting into the match. Now,
Yeah.
one thing I wanted to talk about, since you know I'm hanging out with the two big shots right now, budgeting for these stages, stuff that we get to make it look poppy, to make it look spicy, to make it look, you know, sprucing things up. You know, kind of big things that you guys purchase in order to make things look great.
Yeah.
You know, I by far the most expensive setup that I've ever made was Winter Slam. And let me ask you two something. You guys watched both Winter Slam and Birthday Bash?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which setup was better?
Didn't you just have like the Mattel stage?
Yeah, for both of them. I'm talking about like the arena, the whole thing, not like just the
And you had
stage
like the
stuff.
lighting strips around.
Mm-hmm.
I
the
think Winter
decorations.
Slam, because you had all the decorations. I mean, you had
Yeah.
decorations both. I don't know.
I'm just a fan of Christmas winter style decoration, so I would go with that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll probably go with that.
Yeah. Now, which do you think was the more expensive?
Probably the birthday one.
Nope. Winter Slam. Winter Slam
Winter Slam.
probably cost me about $300 to make.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
because you know, I could go. I didn't want to order stuff online because I didn't want to wait. I wanted to get this stuff done as soon as possible. So I would drive around all around town to look for stuff. And a great place to look for decorations, especially when it's like something seasonal like Winter Slam, is a place called At Home. I don't know if you guys have that wherever you're at.
No.
But yeah, that place is like, you ever heard of Hobby Lobby?
Yeah, we don't have that where I am though.
Oh, okay. So it's basically Hobby Lobby, but it's like bigger and more extravagant and more detailed and stuff. It doesn't have like arts and crafts stuff, but it has more seasonal decorations and all that. But everything over there costs an arm and a leg. And it was at that point where I had to ask myself, okay, Danny, do you want this show to be as big as you want, or you just want to get it done and over with saving the most money? And so, of course, I chose the dumber option and said, I'm going to spend all this money for Winter Slam. But I think it paid off. I think it looked really cool. But now, Birthday Bash, I just went to a dollar store to get most of the stuff that I got from there.
What equated to $300?
Okay, so you know that big snowflake that was on the stage, that big glass snowflake, that was $20 already. I had a bunch of trees there. I think that was like 15, I believe. $15 for like a tree set that I would use there. A bunch of decorations, hanging ones. I don't know how much that equated to, but I remember each of them costing like $2, and there was a bunch of them. I bought like a bunch of them. And then you have two of these ice ropes. I think those were like $8 each. Two of those glowing polar bears, those were $6 each. And then I got a bunch of like wrapping ribbons, all that. Most of the stuff I got there was from the at-home place, and then I got those all those big styrofoam shiny snowflakes that I put on the poster boards. Geez, it was just a bunch of stuff, a bunch of it, and then all this fake snow I had to get. It was just like the amount. It was just like all these ideas, and each of them
Jeez,
cost.
dedication.
Yeah, because I wanted because like, I was Danny Meltzer. I was the guy who was reviewing all these shows, and people hated me, and they were like, "Oh, it's not like you can do any good. It's not like you could." I had to prove them wrong.
You
I
had to
had
prove
to.
them wrong.
Yeah, and I think it's safe to say I did. It was like a huge buzz in the community there, especially like in the IG community, the Instagram one. I had people who hated me coming at me in my DMs after watching that show. It's like, hey man, you know what? We got off on the wrong foot, man. You want to bury the hatchet. You want to put things under the bridge. The show was that good, and I felt like super proud of myself, for that stuff because I persevered and I said, you know what, we're gonna do this, and I'm gonna spend as much money as I can to make this pop as well as I can. And one guy who really motivated me to do that, I consider him my coach in this pick fit stuff. And it's the guy who's making the Bloodsport show, Mike SWE. That guy has a very good eye for stages and how to make things pop, how to make things look, very snazzy. And he helped a lot with ideas for the Winter Slam stage. But most of it after that was just me adding in the tiny details, making everything look cool and wintery, if that's even a word. It's probably not, but I don't really care. But yeah, all of that kind of just equates to like the $300 and stuff like that. The intricacy, the details, everything. I wanted everything to look the way I wanted it to look. I didn't want it to look like VHS tapes, but
VHS.
I had no choice. I had no choice with the
Yeah.
birthday bash one. The birthday bash one didn't take as long. It didn't really take as much money because, like I said, it was dollar store stuff. Like, guys, if you want you to have your stage look good, look presentable, at least as presentable as birthday bash, because I thought that arena looked cool. Go to a dollar store. There's no shame in it. There's definitely no shame in saving money, and this is coming from a guy who values saving money over anything else except for Winter Slam. Winter Slam was the one time I made the exception. Go to a dollar store, get whatever you need, especially when it's like seasonal stuff, like a Halloween show or a Christmas show or screw it, an Easter show. Do whatever you want. It's like, just make
if you're
sure.
just starting out, you don't need like a crazy setup. Just start, just get into it, have fun with it, and then eventually just evolve it. You don't have to try and compete with everybody else. Just get started.
Yeah,
don't be afraid to start.
Yeah, and just like all that stuff. But as far as you guys' arenas go, how does that look? How does the money look there? What do you guys
Luke,
get?
let's hear from you.
So, the stuff I really invest money in is like the things that I know are going to be like permanent fixtures in the arena. Like, for example, like the crowd risers. I think that really adds a lot. Like if you have the figure crowd, the actual figures, like on risers, so they look like they're leveled up. And then I recently bought these lights that light up the crowd, kind of like in WWE. Maybe you have seen it in my entrance that I uploaded for Roman Reigns. And these are two different lights. They cost probably like $40 each. And I had that GCW background, that Wrestleistic design for me, the green one, which is kind of like the Extreme sets, just in a GCW version, that I printed at a print shop, and that cost me about $30. So it is way cheaper than if you would actually buy the cardboard pop-ups.
Yeah, probably. So that's why I always hesitated to get the cardboard pop-ups. I would tell myself it's because, I want to make my Fed look more like an underground thing, And then I tell myself, oh, that bitch costs $80 or 90, however much, and that's not really something I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
I'm trying to work with what I have. That's the biggest takeaway from all this. Work with what you got.
Yeah.
Make what you got look like $1,000,000, and then when people start seeing it and they demand more, give them more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, what about you, Nathan?
As for me, right now we got, we just upgraded to like a table setup. The table was like $900. We got a TV for the stage to be more like what WWE's doing nowadays. That was about 2,000 something dollars. And we got this new crowd, which is really awesome. If you saw my most recent video, the crowd designed by Wrestlistic. I think it looks a lot better than the Extreme sets. And that was about, what was it, like I think it was like 50 to print it out, which is pretty good, way cheaper than Extreme sets too. So I think that's a really good option. It's really hard to make though. It's massive. So how was that for you, Luke? How do you set up your crowd? I think this one was a little bit bigger than a usual one though. It's a lot taller.
You mean the green backdrop I had?
Yeah. It's probably easier on the floor too, because I had to, like, the struggle was getting it up on the table. Because I had to make it on the floor and then get it up.
Well, mine was like, wasn't cardboard. It's like,
it was like tarp, right?
Yeah. And we just put it onto the wall, and that was it.
Oh, so there's a wall there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So the entire like backdrop of my arena is pretty much wall. Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. Now I exchange it with some cardboard, like the same stuff I use for the floor, because I had these lights go up, and it would suck to have a green background and then I changed the lights to blue or whatever. It just doesn't match up. So
yeah, that's
so
true.
So does that mean that green backdrop is not going to make a return?
I mean, it might at someday, but right now I really do like to have the crowd being lit up. I think that looks pretty good.
Yeah, I think so too.
Are you going to have the lights on during matches, or is it just going to be normal?
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out a way how to film it nicely, because when I film the matches, I also have to have my other lights on, that are on the ring, and they're a lot stronger, so you can't really see that the crowd is lit up, if that makes sense, because these lights are just so much stronger. Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out ways how to shoot it better. Like, I always wondered if there would be like a way to have like a setup like WWE has, where you have the light like directly over the ring. But
yeah, you should see a guy like what's his name, WMO. Have you seen his stuff? Wrestling Maniacs Only. He's got a really cool like lighting rig over the top. But, I wouldn't know how to do that. Yeah, you'd have to like really mess up your ceiling to get that all fixed up.
Yeah, and I cannot afford to do that. So I just use my room light. I took off the, how like you have a light and you have like this little like glass dome over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took that off so it can have a bit more bright to it.
Oh, does that help?
It helped a lot. And especially it depends on like what kind of lights you get. You can't get the freaking the yellowish tinge ones. You got to get like
definitely
the white ones. You got to get the white ones, because those are really bright. And the way my lighting is set up, I just have one LED strip and I light it up. I turn it up to the biggest, brightest setting it could possibly be for entrances. And then I dim it down. I keep the lights on when I'm filming matches. And I think it does have like a little tint to it. But I think that helps the whole like underground aspect of it. It's like with FAW. I'm not aiming to replicate WWE. I'm not aiming to replicate AEW. I'm more so aiming to replicate NXT when it was in Full Sail. Because I personally think I'm a believer, a strong believer in that wrestling works better in smaller venues. I definitely believe so, because the acoustics, you can see about everyone. They're all invested because there's a smaller crowd and nobody's like on their phone, you know, not paying attention. Because I feel like with big old stadium places like that, like WrestleMania, not a lot of people, you know, there's a crap ton of people there, but not a lot of them are really invested. They're there because of the luxury of saying, I went to WrestleMania, haha, look at myself, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's why,
You
like,
can't hear him as well too, because it's such a big space.
Yeah. So like, and you know, just smaller venues, they just sound better to me. They just sound better, especially like, you know, in Full Sail and NXT. You can tell like everybody's invested. I can't get that kind of energy for like a WrestleMania stage, you know. But you know, that's just me.
Yeah. Well, on that note, this was such a fun podcast. Every Wednesday, we're going to be doing this. We're going to have interviews. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Excited to start this journey. Thank you guys for coming on here and inviting me to do this. This is a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Also,
it was a great time.
Also, leave some comments, leave some questions down for us, and we'll get to them in the next episode.
Tell us what you want to hear.
Definitely.
What you liked, what you didn't like. We'll try and improve it for you guys.
Yeah, we are at your service above all else, man. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. This has been great. I'm very excited to see where this goes, see what kind of guests come by and this stuff so we can interview them. I'm definitely excited for that. So guys, please subscribe, leave a comment, like this video so that the algorithm can go up, and stay tuned for the next episode, boy.
Yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Yes. See you all. Bye-bye.